Hey, what's going on? YST here, welcome back to another raid video. Today we're going to be diving into one of my new favorite epics, and that is Achak The Wendarin. He is so good and he can be used in almost every area of the game apart from the clan boss. But if you talk about crowd control, HP burn on the spiderlings, the frost spider, you may see in the title that I've said he can solo 120 of the frost spider on his own. Maybe not in the hard stage, we are just going to dive into normal 120, but he does it in an extremely fast time. But if you do use it on hard, it can work for you as long as you've got some extra support or high resistance, but we will cover that. But without further ado, let's dive into him and see what this guy can do. So let's get into his kit and see exactly what he can provide for your team. So on the A1, attacks one enemy, 30% chance of decreasing the duration of one random buff on the target if they are under a HP burn debuff. Also has a 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15% if they are under a freeze debuff. So this can be great in a lot of scenarios, and you can buff it up to an extra chance. And on the A2, places a block debuff buff on all allies for 1 turn and places a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. Once again, very viable in places like the Spider's Den. All of these places where the ads are giving you a lot of pain, he's going to stop you from getting debuffed, and he's going to get strengthened out on your allies to make sure you can hit harder. And on the A3, attacks all enemies, has a 70% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn on enemies whose attack is higher than their defense, and also has a 70% chance of placing a HP burn debuff for 1 turn on enemies whose defense is equal or higher than their attack. And on the passive, it gets a little bit interesting, so he heals all allies by 5% of their max HP every time an enemy under a HP burn debuff gets a turn. So in the Spider's Den, when all the spiderlings have HP burn out, you may put it out with your ultimate Gaelic. All of your allies are going to be getting full use of this passive, and he also fills the turn meters of all allies by 10% every time an enemy under freeze debuff gets a turn. So if he's putting the freeze out, you've got your HP burn out from another champion, you're going to be getting full use of heals and also turn meter boost. What is there not to like about this ability? And aura, increase ally defense in all battles by 25%, which is what we like to see. All battles is always a plus. And let's get into the artifacts of what I used and how you may want to use it. So we got a triple roll speed here, triple roll speed here again. Bear in mind, you don't need to have these crazy triple roll speeds or massive speed amounts. You do want them relatively quick because you want to get those debuffs out and keep your enemies under control, but you do not have to have these kind of crazy gear stats. So speed and accuracy, then we got HP percent here, then we got HP percent here with some double roll speed, speed on the boots, and then we got triple roll speed again on the accuracy banner. Then we got HP here, and HP here with a nice triple roll of defense percent. And then on the overall stats, we got 65,000 HP, 3,000 defense, a 260 speed. Once again, he doesn't have to be this fast. I'd say somewhere between 220 to 240 to be consistent in where you want to put him out. Then 26% crit rate, 83% crit damage, and a 400 accuracy because I don't want him getting resisted in the high-end Doom Tower. And then on the Masteries here, we've gone the defense tree and support. The reason I haven't gone offense is I'm not trying to make him a damage dealer, and I want to make full use of fearsome presence. So it adds 5% to land your freeze debuffs because his AoE is only at 90%, and 95% is always better than 90, and you want to get that out consistently. So without further ado, let's get into a few areas of the game and see where you can shine. Okay, so we're in stage 120 of the normal Doom Tower. I haven't unlocked hard yet. I will try to get over to it once I unlock it, if you guys are interested in that. But you can get the HP burns out consistently, but there's one thing you have to bear in mind. Do not place decreased defense when you're trying to get through this, because if you place decreased defense, then their attack is going to be higher than their defense, and he's going to place freeze instead, and this is not what you want to see when you're coming up against the final boss. 2 minutes 53, we've got through to the boss, and you're going to see that he's going to be able to stay alive with his HP burn heals and the immortal set that we've got on this champion. And he's not going to die or be in any kind of jeopardy, but of course, if you're going into the hard Doom Tower, you're going to need a very high resistance, or you're going to need other champions to support him. But this is just a bit of fun, just to showcase what he's capable of. But I'll speed this run up for you and I'll come to you towards the end. Did you guys see that at the end there? That was very clutch. If he didn't place that HP burn, this would have went on way longer. But 80 turns, 5 minutes 42 seconds, that is very impressive for a solo champion in the Spider's Den at 120. Then we got 18 million damage there. Pure HP burns, no support, just himself and his immortal set. So let's just quickly briefly show what happens if you place a decreased defense on the same kind of wave. Alright, so I've just thrown it up here. If you place decreased defense, you can see that the spiderlings are getting freeze and they're not getting HP burn. Of course, you could still probably get it out on the frost spider if you're lucky enough to not land the decreased defense. But if you do want to get full use of the HP burn, don't throw decreased defense in here. Just throw in some support champions and let Achak The Wendarin do the work for you. And if you want to briefly see a hard run, I'll just quickly show you that as well. So this is stage 40 of the frost spider on the hard mode. And look at it, 4 minutes 50. We're pretty much killing him off here. And the only reason I've got a Duchess in is just to make sure we can get more block debuffs and more support in case she dies in the later stages. I believe these two could probably do stage 120. But of course, add extra champions, why not? This is just a fun little showcase to see what he's capable of. So you can see that we did stage 40 of the frost spider in 116 turns, using purely Achak The Wendarin for his HP burns once again. So that's the frost spider covered, and let's get into the spiders then. Okay, so this is a run that I've previously shown in another video that I did, so you can go and check that out to see all the requirements that I used on these champions if you want to kind of replicate the speed run. But you can see here, he's got the freeze out on everyone, Ignatius is putting the burns out, and we're getting full use of that passive with the heals. And then Renegade is going to reset her skills, and we're going to get through this in no time. This is a 42-second run. I believe you could do it faster, but it's going to require a bit of tweaks to the gear. But very impressive in how he's locking these enemies out. So even if you're kind of progressing in the game and you pull them early, congratulations, and he's going to help you beat this in no time whatsoever. So 42 seconds, and this wouldn't be possible without Achak The Wendarin completely locking out our enemies. So none of our team was in jeopardy there to die, apart from Renegade because she's rank 4 and she pretty much had no gear on her whatsoever. But sometimes she doesn't die in this run, it's just a bit of RNG. Alright, so the faction was open today, let's have a look. Unless you want to wait 1 week and 2 days, I can't show you that today. But where else can we take him in? Clan Boss, he's not got a lot of use, of course. Doom Tower, we've showcased that already. Campaign, I wouldn't really recommend him for the campaign unless you're trying to get through the nightmare and you just want to get that sacred shard and do some crowd control. But let's just throw him into maybe a dragon run before we sign off. So let's get into stage 25 of the Dragon's Lair. How many of you guys have been participating in that 2x speed event, by the way? My drops have been horrendous. But let's just take these guys out, put Achak The Wendarin in. Put a Vizix as well. And who else should we put in there? Okay, so we just put a Deacon and 2 Cold Hearts in there. We're not going to go through the whole run. We just want to show how we can crowd control the enemies. So full auto, decrease speed from Vizix, decrease defense. And there we go. A nice freeze on all your enemies. We've got Provokes out from our Vizix, who's a free daily login champion. You can easily get through stage 25 of the Dragon's Lair by doing this kind of setup here. They're pretty much never going to take a turn because she's going so fast and she's consistently going to put this freeze out for you. I did previously have her in a bit more crit rate so she can apply some extra damage, but if you want to do that, free feel to do so. But the requirements to do the solo on the Frost Spider, I had to switch out the gear a little bit and make her a bit faster in some immortal gear. So bear that in mind. But look at this, freeze absolutely everywhere. They haven't even taken a turn, and this is like stage 25 Dragon's Lair. But yeah, that was just a fun little video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. It really does mean a lot, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.